And what's going on, everyone? Jared Koller here at KSU rocking with Neal Jones in studio where, man, as always, we've got a lot to talk about here today. And as always, with Neal Jones joining the program, I have no idea where the next 30 minutes will go. So buckle up. We're along for the ride here, Neal.
Are you going to use your deep voice like that the whole time?
And
Hello,
we're
Neal
live
Jones is
here.
here. It's so good to have Neal. Normally you're like, gosh, Neal, what do you think's going to happen? Can the Royals win by
Go Royals.
Yeah, that's
Salvador Perez for president.
You know what? I would vote for him for president.
Yeah, I guess that's somewhat timely.
I'm not sure could he run? He's got to be a citizen.
Yeah, he did a handful of years ago, as did Daniel Shallowy this summer as well for Sporting Kansas City. Of course, went to Blue Valley Northwest.
I have an interview with Shallowy where I asked him point blank. Now, he was 18 years old at the time. I said, so what's better, Hungarian women or American women? And he said, Hungarian. So if he ran for president, I could use that against him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the deal breaker between running for president or not, but Daniel, there you go. Now Neal has blackmail.
I like him. He's a great kid. Went to Blue Valley Northwest High School. My son had some classes with him.
Yeah,
and said he was a great guy. I've really enjoyed watching him grow as a player and as a person.
All right, let's jump into the Kansas City Chiefs because, Neal, we start with some breaking news from you. All right, it's Scoops Jones, as they call you in the biz. But no, actually, the NFL kickoff rule has been a weird one because it's different and change is hard and it takes time to learn things. We saw it in the preseason across the NFL. Looked different, and the Chiefs did not exactly pass their first test in flying colors. And now maybe changes might be on the way. What were you hearing from training camp this morning?
Well, somebody told me that the NFL is continuing to tweak this rule, looking at tweaking this rule, and that the Rules Committee was going to have constant conversations over the first 4 weeks, which are the preseason portion of the season, so that they can talk about, hey, maybe we need to change the rule. Maybe if the ball hits in the end zone, like it did in the Chiefs game when they got a safety, the ball did not hit in the landing zone. It hit in the end zone, which is not the landing zone. It hit it and then bounced out onto the field of play. Of course, the Chiefs didn't field the kick, which they should have. They didn't field it. So McCall Hardman races back and grabs it and does what a year ago would have been a touchback. He was completely in the end zone. He touched the ball. It becomes a touchback. Now it becomes a safety. So it cost the Chiefs a possession. It cost them 2 points. And in the regular season, it might cost them a football game. Well, they are going to talk about it, I'm told. Today, the league people were going to talk about this very thing. They were going to look at that play. And so this might be a case of they may tweak it a little bit before the regular season starts. But I know this. The TV networks don't even know how to cover it. They are so wide angle, you don't get a sense of what's going on. And look, it's new to them. It was the same thing with the TV network that did the Hall of Fame game, which was the first game of the year. Right. I'm trying to get a sense of what's going on, and they're so wide that you really can't see. But I do think it's got a chance to be an exciting play. Anything's better than the automatic kick it through the end zone, and it's at the ball at the 20, which is what it was for about 35 years. So I'm glad that they've at least looked at making it more interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll take some time to get used to, but the goal, as you said, is to get more returns. Would you personally, do you think that should have been a safety, should be a touchback? While they're in the tweaking stage now before we hit the regular season, do you have any thoughts on what should change, or do you like it how it is right now?
It's interesting. I was not listening to the broadcast on Saturday night. I was editing a television story while I was watching the game. So I didn't realize, hey, Trent Green nailed it. He immediately said, wait a minute, that ball is in play.
Live, right.
And he knew the rule. It used to be that if the ball touched the end zone, it was immediately a dead ball, and the play's over and it's out to the 25-yard line. He knew immediately that ball's in play. That ball's in play. Eventually, after they go to a commercial break and they come out and the Chiefs are getting ready to run a play, I think he had maybe backtracked in his own mind that, well, maybe I was mistaken. No, he was right from the get-go. That ball has to be fielded. You cannot every ball has to be fielded. I remember we had a chance to talk with Dave Tobe, the Chiefs special teams coordinator, earlier this camp, and he said when they kick it, you got to catch it. You can't just let it bounce around like we used to. So he knew it needed to be fielded, but clearly the players didn't. Jared,
well, Deneric Prince is because he's the one. McCole Hardman was the one who took the knee, but it was kicked to Deneric Prince's side, and he just started to walk away. If McCole Hardman doesn't go over and pick the ball up, the Jaguars pick it up, and that's a touchdown instead of a safety. So the blame goes to both, but it starts with Prince, who Andy Reid at training camp today said 34 should have picked it up, and then said McCole Hardman, after he picked it up, should have just run forward.
Yeah. It's going to be a work in progress. I think one of the things that is hurting them is that all the teams is that we are not seeing them do anything what they're going to do in the regular season. We saw Butker kicking the ball low, these ugly hooks that were about 15 feet off the ground, and they bounced 22 times into the end zone. And Dave Tobin said that's what you want. You want to kick a squirrely, difficult ball to field, and the minute it touches in the landing area, then the coverage team can start going. They can't move until the ball hits the ground. He said, so you want to get it on the ground early, hard, and make it bounce, kind of like you've seen people do with those squib kicks where it's really hard to field.
Exactly.
Well, they didn't do that. Louis Rees-Zammit is very good at that. I've seen him practice in that.
Well, and Justin Reed, who returned to practice today for the first time, but he's someone that could get out there and kick because he can also lay a hit stick that Butker can't.
But I don't know if Justin Reed is the kind of kicker now. I don't know. I don't know if he's practiced kicking these ugly balls because it's completely different than what it looks like a bad drive, like one of my duck hook drives. It's like this.
But that goes into the strategy of where they're not at their full strength, because I would ask Dave Tobe, would you rather have a weird kick or an extra defender that Justin Reed would provide? Because the Jaguars also, they did have a kick return for 74 yards on the first kick. There was another one later in the game where Butker could have made a tackle, but was saying,
preseason.
I'm not going to do this, and I'm the highest paid kicker in the NFL. But in the regular season, it might be valuable to have Justin Reed out there, even though you may get less of a kick. This is all strategy that, Neil, I am a little surprised we're not seeing more of that as a trial run in the preseason.
They don't want to show anything. They are so paranoid. One of the coaches, I heard him say it. He said, we're going to be vanilla in the preseason. We're going to be vanilla. And why would you show your hand, tip your hand about anything in the preseason? Everybody is constantly scouting each other. To think that when the Chiefs sell tickets, and so the camps are technically open, these preseason camps, teams send people. Everybody in the AFC West, you don't think the Chiefs have people? And I'm talking about legally now. I'm not talking about Bill Belichick, with
drones flying over. Right.
I'm talking about when you sell tickets, like the Dallas Cowboys used to always sell tickets and make all this money on their preseason when they played either practice in Dallas or down in Austin. But the problem with that is if you sell tickets, then other teams can come and scout it. Yeah. Or at least people can video it and send them video. So they just don't. They are so paranoid about it. They don't want to give anything up. We've never been able to shoot Butker kicking or the punter punting, even when they're just practicing. Maybe in the years since Andy Reid came, this is his 12th camp. One of those was during COVID, but this is the 11th camp I videoed. There've only been a handful of times you could actually video the kickers kicking, and why? I have no idea. I mean, I'm not talking about when they're in formation and stuff. I'm just talking about the kicker kicking. I mean, what's there to learn? But they are paranoid about it. Yeah. So we are not going to see week one. That's one of the things I cannot wait to see. How are the Chiefs going to kick, and how are they going to return these things?
I get that most years. I thought this year might have been a little bit of an exception given the new rules. But you're right. They see that, as you've chronicled, I give you credit, through the offseason, you early on asked Dave Tobe, like, hey, could this decide games? And he said yes, and you're right. And I think they view this as a way they can get an advantage early on, and they have a tough schedule early on. Ravens and Bengals, 2 games they want to win, and if they think they can get an edge, they will. The disappointing part, Neil, is that in that first game against the Ravens, well, they may not have their number 1 wide receiver in Hollywood Brown. So just to recap, most people watched the game Saturday night, but he did leave on the very first play of the game. He caught his first ever pass in a Chiefs uniform in a game, and he exited, eventually was hospitalized with a sternoclavicular joint dislocation. I'm not a doctor, but that is an injury that is serious. In 2019, Tyreek Hill had the same injury that caused him to miss 4 weeks. That is around the timetable we're looking at by a lot of expert people who know a lot more about this than I do. They say 4 to 6 weeks, and that puts us right around the time for Week 1, that Thursday, September 5th kickoff against the Ravens. And Neal, this isn't the most fun topic, but I think it's one of the most important ones because Hollywood Brown is a key piece of this offense, as you've seen every day at training camp.
No, there's no question. He's looked great in this offense. This offense was made for guys like that. He can cross the formation, catch a ball across the middle. Patrick Mahomes throws it for 12 yards. And like Tyreek Hill did for a bunch of years, he's got so much speed he can turn it upfield, make a guy miss, and he can gain 20 yards on what looks like about a 4-yard play. Tyreek, they made a living of that. How many times did Tyreek Hill go for 75 yards when Patrick Mahomes threw it about 8 yards? He is a guy that can change the defense. Everybody talks about stretching the field, taking the top off the field, meaning the safeties have to back up, which opens up that area for Travis Kelce, the other tight ends, the other receivers. They didn't have that last year, quite frankly. They believe they've got it between he and Worthy. They have a great chance, and they think in Rice they got the right guy who's a good pass runner.
Like a possession receiver.
A guy who can make plays, and he's got a little bit of speed too. He's not a speed merchant, but he's not
faster
slow.
At camp this year, I think. I don't know what I'm necessarily comparing that to, but maybe it's more confidence. Last year he looked really strong running with the ball after the catch, but this year especially, maybe it's more empowered with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown out there. But that tandem is strong. But that's why Hollywood Brown is important, Neal.
Yeah, and we should stress that maybe we buried the lead here. Good news today. We had been told that Hollywood Brown would probably have to have surgery. That's what everybody was talking about. And that's what led a lot of people to say, listen, he could miss 3 or 4 games. If he has to have surgery, but today Andy Reid told us they were able to reduce it they were able to pop the shoulder back into place without surgery. They didn't have to so he said that is really good news. He'll now have to recuperate. Nobody knows how long it'll take him to recuperate. Yeah. But the fact that they didn't have to operate on it is great news today for the Chiefs and for Hollywood Brown.
Right. He left Jacksonville Sunday, so that means he's back in Kansas City today, and he did not have surgery, which, again, as you just said, is good. And I think we're excited about this Chiefs offense, or Chiefs fans are excited, and for good reason. But still, Xavier Worthy has been great in camp. He's yet to play an NFL game. They drew up the first play of the game for Xavier Worthy. The offensive line didn't protect, so it didn't get to him. But come week 1, there's a lot more pressure on Xavier Worthy if Hollywood Brown is out. That's one of the reasons why I liked the Brown signing, is because you figure that regardless of how good Worthy can be, you have Brown, you have Rice, and then Worthy, whatever you get from him is gravy. As a 3 receiver, he might get pushed up into that number 2 spot. So we will see how this Brown injury develops.
And let's think about this for a moment. I mean, we all understand Rashee Rice has an investigation and some litigation ahead of him. The NCAA, the NFL will eventually.
They might be investigating too.
They may have. The NFL's going to, at the end of the investigation, when the whole legal process is played out, the NFL will then step in. They'll take a look at the situation, and they will hand out a suspension if they believe that Rashee Rice deserves a suspension. We're talking about street racing down in North Dallas. He and some friends in a different car. He left the scene it caused a car accident. Some people were hurt. I think originally they said minor injuries, but when you're talking about the legal system, there are no injuries that are minor, and Rashee Rice left the scene of the crime. So that's what the NFL eventually will have to make a decision on. Will he be suspended? I think most of us feel like he's probably going to get something, but who knows? I think you have to wait.
Well, it's August 12th.
I've never been able to figure out the NFL because they may hand him 8-game suspension when you got somebody who beats up their wife or something or girlfriend and they get 4 games. So who knows what the NFL will do.
And the timing of it.
So the reason I bring up is this. If you don't have Rice because he's suspended and you miss Hollywood Brown for the start of the season because he's injured, suddenly this offense looks a lot more like it did last year. I mean, Worthy obviously can run, but the fact is you're not firing on all cylinders. I have no doubt that Andy Reid and company won't come up with an offensive game plan with whoever they have. But the bottom line is that you'd like to have all of your weapons on the field at the same time.
Yeah, and the timing of it's very interesting because, Neil, I would have said, yeah, you might be looking at Rashee Rice missing the start of the season a couple months ago. But now that it's August 12th and nothing's come down, they could lay it, hey, a week before the season, and the Chiefs would know before we would know. But another development to follow here. But
and why haven't they? Why I don't understand why if you're going to charge him down in Texas.
I mean that stuff takes time.
Yeah, but
I don't get any of it, but
I mean, this
wouldn't be the first time something's taking a little while.
It's Texas. They usually shoot first and ask questions second. What are they doing?
Hey, this guy said that. I didn't say that.
I only go by about 100 years of history.
Yeah, and the Oklahoma ties there. So, all right, Neil, let's wrap up with the Chiefs. Everyone heard our thoughts Saturday night live on the air after the Chiefs preseason game. And guess what? You'll hear more thoughts this coming Saturday after the Chiefs come to play at Arrowhead against the Lions, where Neal Jones will be on the field up close and personal with your Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Any storyline either that you want to hit on that we talked about Saturday or new that you want to get in front of the people?
Well, I can't wait to see the offense. Hopefully the offensive line, the ones, will play a little more. Joe Thuney, they're holding out, so maybe they don't play him. But I'd like to see their young tackle Kingsley get more than one series. I understand
that was surprising. I mean, man,
he's the one guy you thought might see a little extra action,
but that
right?
also tells you what they think of him.
Oh, that he's perfect, he's polished, he doesn't need more work?
Yes, that's what Andy Heck, he told me. He said, Jared Kingsley Somatia, he's a perfect player. I said, wow, Andy. That was sarcasm, okay? But still, you judge a lot by playing time, and I think the fact that, they could have given him more reps and they didn't show that they're pretty confident in what he can do at least. Is that crazy?
No, not at all. I understand. I'm not a huge fan of playing your first-string players a bunch of snaps anyway because I don't like the idea. I mean, what's Creed Humphrey got to prove?
Right.
What's Joe Thuney got to prove?
Agreed.
They need to get bloodied a little bit. When I say bloodied, I mean they got to go out and play a little bit. They need to hit some people. But I think a series is good. But I do think when you have a couple of young guys who are trying to learn the NFL and you expect them to start, maybe it'd be nice if they got more snaps. But
I agree.
I'm going to defer to Andy Reid over you and I who have never coached and won a game.
Yeah, maybe in Madden we had some success back in the day. All right, well, we're talking about things that we're experts on. How about the Royals? No. But what we do know is that it's a big series tonight, and I think people...
You've been saying that since April.
No. My point is I think people have been putting way too much into these Central Division series. Like the Guardians series was, oh, this is a massive series. The Red Sox series, oh, this is a massive series. Yes, but until you get to September, I really think it's like every game it's I know it's the same the entire year, but I understand why, hey, division games mean more. But right now, I don't think the season is over if the Royals lose 2 out of 3 of the Twins, and I don't think the Central is theirs if they sweep the Twins. So I'm not going to come out of this series thinking, with any grand take, but Neil, it is an opportunity to, at least at this moment in time, hop the team that's directly in front of you in the Central standings. It's a barometer for where you're at. You've got your 3 best pitchers going. And so while I don't join a lot of fans that read too much into every single game or every single series, I do look forward to seeing what they put on the diamond these next 3 days.
Yeah, I agree with you that you don't have to win the division to get in, thanks to the re-expanded playoffs in baseball. The Royals can make it without winning the division. But I do think that, every win is they're probably going to need them. And they're all going to count. So, yes, it's cumulative. Any one game will not knock you off. It's not like college football used to be before the 12-team playoff where you had to win everything pretty much to get in. It's not like that, but they add up. And where you want to do is you want to see them win a series. It's okay to lose a game, but boy, against your competition, you'd like to see them win more series. And with their starting pitching staff that they've had, that's something that's reasonable for them to do.
Yep, I agree. They're a half game behind Minnesota for the Central, but more so the wild card, because right now Cleveland is the AL Central leader, and
Right.
but Cleveland's only up 4 games on the Royals. All right, so the division is still very much within, because I believe the Royals still have 7 games against the Guardians the rest of the way. So there's opportunity to make up ground.
Do you think that this Royals team, do you think they're going to play their best baseball late, or do you think that they're going to? I think
they're
or are they going to choke?
No. I think they're going to stay about the same. To where you're right, it's going to come down to the last weekend, where maybe they need to win out or win a series, or they need a little help, or maybe they, I think they're going to stay about right. Right now, they're 12 games over. I would expect come the last week, they're probably going to be about 10, 11, 12, 13 games over. I don't see them falling back to 500, but I don't see them going to 93 wins, and that's why every game, you don't know how close it'll come, especially in the new system where you get 6 teams in. There's no game 163. So if the Royals finish with the same record as, say, the Red Sox, well, it doesn't matter. The Red Sox are in because they have the tiebreaker. But thankfully for the Royals in the wild card race, they do have a 2.5-game lead right now. So I know we're looking at the division, but they have a little bit of breathing room. That 2.5 game is over Seattle, and they're 3 games up on Boston. But Neil, I remain confident in this team because of the pitching, and that day in and day out, this team has a good chance to win. Will they win every game? No, but I feel confident that Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, and Cole Reagans over these next 3 games, they're going to be in ball games, and it's a matter of, can they come out on top? Can they have enough offense late in the game to win? And I know it's not that simple, but I think this year has taught us that.
Well, the Royals during their peak years in recent vintage in 2014 and 15, they got hot late in the year.
Right.
And they were a better team at the end of last year, if you really want to be the truthful.
Absolutely. Since July 28th, they were like 500.
So I think it's going to be incumbent on them. They didn't go out and sign guys who hit 35 home runs. They didn't have the capital they didn't have the money, and they didn't have the prospects to be able to bring that in a trade. So the reality is, you got to go with what the guys who got you here. So you're going to need your guys to be playing well, hitting, moving runners, and playing good baseball late in the year. If they do that, I think they're going to be fine. If you see 3 or 4 guys slump because of pressure, because of injuries, because of the drag of the season, then I do think the Royals could find themselves in a real dogfight the last week.
Right, they don't have a great margin for error. But, the thing is, the sample size is no longer small, Neil. It's August 12th. They are 65 and 53. That's a lot. There's only just a few more over 40 games left on this entire baseball season. This is no longer a hot month. This is no longer a cute story. No. The Royals will hold a playoff spot for at least the next couple games. And, Neil, that's not something we normally say around here. And, in fact, now, let me ask you this, Neil. Do you realize how good this Royals team actually is in Kansas City Royals standards? Over the last 41 seasons, the only team with a better record at the 118-game mark, the 2015 Royals and the 1985 Royals. That's it. And they, both those teams, spoiler alert, did pretty well going on to win the World Series, and the 85 team is only 1 game better at this point. I don't know if this town realizes by comparison how good this team actually is compared to what we normally see at this time, because we've seen a lot of bad baseball. And to your point, a lot of the better teams have finished strong. But as of August 12th, this Royals team deserves the city's respect.
Oh, there's no question about it. I had somebody who's a Kansas City fan, went to the University of Kansas. He lives and works in the media down in Oklahoma. And he sends me messages all the time. And he said, why the Cardinals are in town and they're a good team and you're battling for a playoff spot and you can't get 25,000 fans? And my quick response was, well, perhaps it's, the fact that the ownership stepped on its own tail earlier this year on the stadium issue. I know that there are still some fans who are mad about that. I don't know what else it would be. What else do you want? Or is it because the Chiefs been so good that everybody's saving their money to go to Arrowhead? I don't know, but I do think it would be fun to see bigger crowds out at Kauffman Stadium.
And they did have, maybe it was semantics, but the where they struggled attendance-wise was against the Red Sox this past week. On Wednesday, they only had 16,000. They had about 35,000 for the Cardinals both games. However, a ton of Cardinal fans, which is normal, but I thought maybe this year they were going up against the Chiefs preseason game on Saturday. Maybe that was it.
That's tough.
Either way, there were 35,000, but most people that I talked to said it was probably 55, 45 Royals fans. So that's a lot of
listen,
that's a lot of red.
I don't know how many years I went out there.
Right, I was but there this year they're good, so I would have hoped for better.
I was out there the year McGuire broke the home run record, and and on Friday night he hits a bomb to left field that went. And this is the old stadium before they redesigned it.
Yeah.
It went up above the seats in left field GA,
over the truck,
and it one-hopped into a concession stand. So I went out there with a photographer really happy to stop eating in the press box, drug him out there to where'd the ball land? Oh, it landed right here, and it bounced up in there, and we interviewed the lady and everything. And of course, I hate the Cardinals. I like Mark. I like Mark McGuire.
No, Sammy Sosa all day.
I liked Mark McGuire before the steroid scandal.
Okay,
but I've always hated the Cardinals growing up.
I appreciate. Were you rooting for Sosa or McGuire in the home run chase?
I was. Look, by
or
that
Ken
at
Griffey
that
Jr., I guess.
At that point, it was obvious that the baseballs were juiced. And
the players
we didn't know about the players, but the baseballs, the pitchers talked about it at the start of the season. They're like, the balls are tighter. The seams aren't as raised as much. It's hard to get spin on it.
Yeah,
it's jacked up. And then they were saying the ball's carrying farther. The outfielders were like, you pick it up off the bat and it keeps carrying. Well, that's what the owners juice the baseball for the short buck. Let's make some money in the short term, and by the way, we'll destroy the record book where it means nothing. And you cannot trust owners of any league to do what's right in the long term because they're trying to make a buck.
Do you remember the truck that they had at the old Kauffman Stadium where they said if you hit it, you could, somebody wins a truck?
Yeah,
in
out
left field.
Left field, yeah.
Yeah, they should bring back that. Like, that's where they got the big Remax hot air balloon out there on left. I think if you the foul pole, I think right now, if a player hits that, everybody gets free Chick-fil-A in the stadium. That's what I like to see. We used to have the Krispy Kreme donuts when you get 12 hits.
I love that.
I don't know how that was financially feasible for the Krispy Kreme organization, but either way.
We're talking about it today.
Yeah.
Would we be talking about them today?
Yeah.
No.
Either way, I say bring all that stuff. All right, let's wrap up.
Is it true you took your prom date to Krispy Kreme night?
Oh, yes. Oh, listen, 12 donuts, Neil, that's more than anyone.
Why take her to the Plaza
dining
restaurant when you could go out to the stadium in your tux and save a bunch of money by eating
Neil's
Krispy
joking,
Kreme?
but it's very much on the record that I was not above in high school taking a date to Waffle House. So that's out there.
I like Waffle House.
I don't know if we comparatively Waffle House to Krispy Kreme, but again.
Oh, I like Waffle House way more than
I do
Krispy
too.
Kreme.
Again, now, would people recommend it for a date spot? High school Jared had success there.
I was trying to get my wife to agree to have our wedding reception at Waffle House.
Well, all right. So there you go. Shout out Mrs. Jones. Okay, we end with the college football AP Top 25 poll. And, folks, if you want to hear college football talk, Neal Jones and I are going to be going in-depth every Saturday here in just a few weeks. But right now –
in-depth, that means I'll be at the game and have seen it up close and personal.
Yeah.
He will have seen about 4 minutes of it, and he'll act like he's the expert.
Yeah. I said, Neal, you dummy. But the good news is we've got 3 quality local teams to break down. And just if you missed it, the AP Top 25 poll, it's out today. Mizzou ranked 11th, Kansas State 18th, Kansas 22nd.
Okay, let me ask you a real quick question. If you had to pick one of those schools to be a fraud, which one?
A fraud.
A fraud, not that they're a bad team, but that they are up there, but they don't deserve it.
Well, I think Kansas is the worst of the 3, but their schedule is so easy that I think that's fair. If one of those 3 teams is really going to underperform, I'd say Mizzou, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Because you're basing that on their schedule?
Also true, yes. But I could see it because their schedule, I think they're the better team with the exception of 2 games, maybe 1 up to 3. But if things go wrong, if they have an injury, if they have some disappointments, they have a handful of games where it really could snowball.
2 more questions. 1, who's got the best quarterback of the 3? Why won't nobody gives Mizzou's quarterback? What?
I think it's Brady Cook. I would listen to Jalen Daniels, but because he's hurt all the time,
which Daniels? The one last year who didn't play, or the
right?
One 3
That's
years
why I
ago
would go
play?
Brady Cook. But if you had one game to pick a quarterback,
you're going with the Golden Boy.
I would probably go Jalen Daniels because he's with that one game. Now, Avery Johnson.